Listen to Nompulida. Make him wanna. Shivana representing Paruga.
Welcome again and forever. We shall always be welcoming you. We are Bakuya Togede, your very number one podcast, virtual, that opens up conversations on LBQ life. We just came here to sit, laugh, smile, and relax. And we are Bakuya Togede.
She said what she said.
She said what she said, and also he said
what he said.
We are so happy to have another special guest on this show. You're all welcome. Right.
Sasha. Hi guys. Hannah, the lady with the good hair.
Oh.
Frankie, the ladies man.
And Biggie.
Yes.
And Gazelle, your female lover. So Frankie, know that there's a female lover in the building.
I'm smiling, your producer. And as usual on this podcast, we celebrate achievements, right? And we celebrated Gloria Mchava's birthday. Happy birthday, girl. We so love you so much. We're happy to have you. Our cake.
We are waiting.
And also Biggie has some interesting things to share. Please tell us a good news.
We're celebrating Muchiava's birthday. And a lot of members of Farug who celebrated their birthday during this period of time in December. But I want to brag about my uncolate and my appreciation for being the captain of Uganda from 2011, 2013 and 2014. I was appreciated with a beret and also a medal and a rainbow medal.
Congratulations.
See, those are the things we are fighting for, inclusivity in like the most amazing, honorable way. Congratulations, Biggie. Yes. Too many things to celebrate. And today is like a very positive podcast for us. We are talking about menstrual health and menstrual hygiene. But this time we want to talk about things that, we know we go through our menstrual periods. They are bad. They make us cry. But how are we able to deal with all that pain? And how do we focus after that? Society makes women feel like they are disgusting, like they are dirty during this menstruation. Yet, menstruation happens every month, right? So it should be something that we are aware of. We should be aware of what to use, what information is out there. Gazelle, what's menstrual health and menstrual health management? What is the difference?
By the way, what you should know is that menstruation is part of us. It's something that is part of us, so we should deal with it and live with it. When we talk about menstrual health, is more of a complete state of mental, physical, and social well-being of yourself just during this time of the menstrual cycle. It's just more so specific during our times of menstruation. That's how are you keeping your health during that time? Mentally, physically, even your social well-being. How is it? And then when we talk about menstrual hygiene, it's more so of those healthy practices that you are doing to provide yourself a healthy, safe, and comfortable menstrual period. Yeah.
I think because of the myths and misconceptions around menstruation, you find young people or young LBQ women not comfortable with their periods. Like, why would it be such a bad thing for you to be in your period? Sasha, what experiences? When was the first time you saw that blood?
I mean, it was crazy. But I think personally, because I started when I was a bit young, I saw my first period when I was in Form 2. And for me entirely, I didn't have that big sister figure in my life. I had sisters, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have that big sister figure in my life to be like, hey, look out, this is what happens when this happens, when this actually comes. But being very curious and inquisitive as I am, I had to, keep it upon myself to do the research. So by the time that thing hit me, I was ready.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, so this is what it feels like. Eh? It was painful. I'm not going to lie. I haven't had a smooth sail with it, but at least I was ready for it.
Like how did you feel like seeing that blood? Was there pain? Were you excited? Were you worried? Because of these things, when you get your blood, pregnancy. Like, there's those things they say.
Yeah. Well, it was uncomfortable. I mean, this is a young person and you're used to your normal routine and you wake up and there is blood coming out of you. Like, when does this stop? But it's not stopping and you have to deal with it.
Next month.
Exactly. And that is the reality. And I feel like we don't talk about this enough. Yeah. It should be talked about enough. It should be normalized. There needs to be some bit of normalcy, when people are talking about these things. Because even though men say they're men, it's none of their business. They have mothers, they have sisters, and they're going to have children. Who might even be daughters, daughters throughout, no boy at all. So how are you going to handle it? Won't you take care of them just because, it's too disgusting for you? So it should be normalized. It should be a normal topic for everyone because you have a sister, you have a mother, and you're going to be a dad.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
My first time seeing my period was in Form 1. And theoretically, I was ready because I had studied about it. Theoretically, I was ready because I had learnt about it, P7, and I was in Form 1. I couldn't wait for it. I thought it would come when I was prepared for it. Maybe it would call me. But I got my first period in church, in chapel. It was a Sunday, and we were in church.
Sunday wear?
Yes, Sunday wear, Sunday uniform, dressed very smartly, standing in the rows. And then someone taps me and tells me, "Can you please sit down?"
Oh my.
How did you feel?
I was like, okay, what? Then those Form 2 girls had to come and tell me, have you had your period before? I'm like, I've not. Okay, I've not. And it was that time. It wasn't the way I expected it to come to me. I had expected it would be smooth. Then my mother would be there to support me. I was at school and not like I was close with my matron. And I had to go through this alone. And I started to hate it right away. I didn't develop any love for it because of, there's no love I could have for it.
Nothing to love.
Yeah, and when I had to get up and go at the end of the chapel, like when everyone else had gone. I didn't want to get up, and the ushers kept telling me, "Stand up, we are now worshipping." And I was like, please, I have an emergency. But still, I didn't have a lot of information about it. Even though I had pads in my suitcase, I didn't know which kind of pads do we use when. So the very first time I pulled out my panty liners, and that's, I think, Monday. I'm using my panty liners because that very Sunday, the flowers, a little. The very first time, okay, it was a lot, but then Monday, still I use panty liners instead of real pads.
Because no one could tell you.
So my first experience with menstrual periods is very bad, but then I grow to actually accept it. And as I'm starting to accept it, then I'm becoming masculine presenting. I'm actually accepting my inner self, and then I'm getting bashed for it again. Because you post a picture online and someone tells you, periods will humble you. And then it's coming back. You understand? Men who, not men, but homophobic people online will always tell people who present masculine. Menstrual periods will remind you that you're a woman.
That is so bad.
Me personally speaking, when I got into my hormonal therapy, I spent like 2 years without getting my periods, and then I thought it was okay. Now things are but recently, like 6 months ago, they started coming again. I was confused. I was like, I thought that maybe when I'm on hormones, this has to stop, but the system stays running. I went to the doctor. Wanted to know what is really happening. They told me it's normal. It doesn't change because the system still works the same. So I kind of had to put it in my mind that now every month I have to maybe continue until maybe there are times when it will stop and then it will still come back. It stops and comes back, because when it stops and spends a lot of months without coming, the next time when it comes, you see black, completely black.
Oh.
Yes, a black flow for 3-4 days. non-stop.
Black flow, you mean?
Like when this time it's not blood that is coming, it's black instead of blood, just black. Since blood has been
that is black.
is clotted, yes. So it comes in black for 3 to 4 days.
Like that can pass blood, right?
Yeah, because it has the yeah, because it has taken long without the ovaries letting out blood. Then I also wanted to, to there is a challenge. I want to challenge normative community when it comes to, they have that belief that menstruation is only for females or girls, but I want to let them know that there are also boys who menstruate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that time when your periods came again, and given the fact that you are, seeing that, was there any pain? Did you mentally feel like, oh my God? How was your reaction, like mentally? What would you do?
First of all, my reaction was
Not again.
not again. Truthfully, not again. I'm not going to go through this again. But then I said, no, you know what? I have to respect this because this is still my body. However much I'm a trans man, it does not change that my system has changed. It still has to go. I still have to follow the protocols of menstruation. So I continue doing what I'm supposed to do. But the problem is now, especially assume you're using a male toilet. You're very comfortable using a male toilet. Female toilets, they usually put dispensaries, and you find menstrual products in there. Now imagine you've gotten your periods, you're in a male toilet, there are no dispensaries. How are you going to get the products? Right? And then you have okay, now you're entering, and then there is this other issue of, okay, now I have my pad. It's in my pocket, I've entered the toilet. Then you know that sound when you're tearing. I imagine some guy is in there, is peeing.
Yeah, man, it's a private wing.
Because they never get to those clicks. Like,
It's a
what are they
private
tearing?
wing
And you know that sound. And after I remove,
You flash.
there's those people that were before transitioning fertile, and their bleeding levels were high. But then there are those who have little bleeding rates. You may if with little bleeding you may not experience these periods for a long time. But when you have those strong, heavy flows, and you still continue getting your periods consistently, for it doesn't stop. But at times, for some people it does. As for others, it will stop for some years, and then it comes back. But
because it's a taboo for some people, like we used to state that there are men who menstruate, but nowadays they don't even want us to talk about the fact that they still menstruate. And it's good to learn of that such can happen even during your hormonal. When you start taking hormones, you can still menstruate unwillingly, because the body says you must release this fucking shit, you must release it. So, and for me, that's what I knew, by the way. Before today, I knew that when you start you start taking hormones, your periods are done. And it's shocking for me to hear that you can still get your periods even after taking hormones. Yeah,
it also happens when you if they stop and then there are trans men who want to give birth. You have to give yourself like 3 months to pass off the hormones. You bleed again, then that's when you start. Yes.
But I also heard of the most interesting story of a 70-year-old woman who gave birth. And Dr. Sally was saying that for the fact that you have a womb, it doesn't matter whether you're menstruating or not. But for the fact that you have a womb, they can still insert, they can that womb can carry children. The woman had the first child at 65 and then now twins at 70. So she had stopped going into her menstruation, but she managed to have a child, and I was asking myself, how could this happen? And then
IVF.
yes, I realized, yes, IVF. I thought regardless of how you get the child, but I thought there has to be those things that have to happen naturally, like menstruation. And so Dr. Sally said that it doesn't matter about whether you're menstruating or not, but during that period of time, if your womb is okay, imagine at 70, 65, 70, she had an okay womb, which didn't have fibroids, which was a normal space for a child to grow.
Biggie, speaking of experiences, I want us to know, how was your experience the first time you had your period?
So I'm lucky. I was lucky. Not, I would say I'm a planned child in terms of information. Not planned that my parents planned all those things. Yeah, because if I was a planned child, I wouldn't be number 13 out of 14 children. So by the time my periods came, I was already aware. So I am lucky that through my primary school, I didn't experience periods. I got my periods, I think, while I was 15 years old. Yeah, because those are that's how lucky we are that we are different from the children of now or the early 2000s, because they started getting their periods at 9 years. And for me, getting my periods and my breasts just developed in 2 years. When blood happened, I knew I am a woman now. And I knew that I would get, yes, I knew I would get pregnant. And for me, that was the only thing, pregnancy. Like for me, I grew up seeing my elder sisters, nazinga ngagenda kusomero, nazinga akagoye, nakatekayo. Nanjagala kumanya nze nakula ddi okuteekayo akagoye. So it was interesting that when I got to know, I was already informed. Like I was aware. Yeah, my sisters bakosanga bugoye nga bagenda kusomero. There was no pads, there was no cotton, because pads are yesterday things. We didn't have them. Okay, chikulu ennyo kyalinga cotton. Naye my sisters namalanga bazinga akagolola bulungi nnyo nakateekako epasi y'amanda eyo nakateekayo neŋŋamba ndowooza sinnakula kati era neninda nkule
kati wakula wakula into a bush beautiful person.
Yeah.
I know there's so much difficult for butchers to go and ask for a pad. Like it's embarrassing for them. How did you come from that kind of fear, being butch and also feminine, how you take care of yourself in terms of how you menstruate?
So one thing I realized is that my body has to ease blood every month, and I was well aware that every month I'm going to get that. The first time I got it, and I wasn't playful with boys like everyone expected, but I realized that now I can be very, very conscious about all that. Even being a butch, there is a time I'm a Manchester supporter, so I was putting on shorts, manu shorts one time. Like I don't get periods pain, I don't. I just get blood. Blood just comes out without knowing. So that means it's very dangerous that it can come anytime. And then it was embarrassing for people to see your blood. So one time I walked out of the house and I had people who had just come. My neighbor, I think she's my aunt, but I got to know she's my aunt here. So I walked out in my shorts, manu shorts, white shorts, with Manu, the Red Devils here, and then I didn't even realize that I had stained the shorts. So I walked from my house to go a distant from my house to There was a distance. And then she said, Ato, follow me. Why are you getting out? She's not telling me, Omusai Guri Kumpari, that you stain your shorts. She's complaining, Ato, follow me. She's complaining, why am I going out? And I'm like, am I not supposed to get out? But she didn't even say that I had stained my shorts. Yes, it was really an embarrassment. So I went, spoke to the person, and then I got back. Then I realized by myself that I had stained the shorts. Because I don't get period pains, blood just comes. So I didn't even feel that. But now I'm very conscious that I can feel there's hot water coming out of me. As a butch person, I realize it's quite disturbing and how to keep clean. Remember, you're always in trousers, you're closed in. You must put on a panty and put on a pad, but at the same time, you must put on a boxer, and you must still look good. You must still be butch the way you want to be. Remember, it comes with those pains. Some people have to stay in the house who get periodic pains. You're struggling, you don't want your partner to see you struggling. You're supposed to look after her when she's going through that, but you're equally, you're worse than her. Imagine, you're worse than what she goes through. You're vomiting, you have all the stomach pains, you have the vomiting, the diarrhea. Sometimes it happens to different people. But imagine your partner doesn't go through that, you're going through it.
Gazelle, the female lover. You look like you did not struggle so much. But you did, yeah?
I've really had the conversations, and I will say I'm not a planned kid. But then I think I was privileged to have the information. And then I was living theoretically. Yeah. And then practically was, I think, accepting it was a bit challenging because I had my first period in Form 2. And it was worse that I was in a common dorm. That there are 2 rooms combined, so we're so many around, and the privacy, and so I remember I would always hide myself. I wouldn't let people know that that sound. Like I would just experience it alone by myself. Yes, and I remember I had my periods for the whole of that first term when no one knows. But then why I think, if I'm to look at the primary times, we had a girl that was going through the periods, and people around looked at her as, she's an old girl, like she's older than us. Certain things. Yes, so I think that really impacted me, so I wouldn't really freely, experience that within, not until going back home and hearing about it, my mother, because she talked of her using the clothing and then the cotton. That was, pads were really scarce, by the way. Those who would afford it were really good, So that's when I got now more familiar. And then going back at school, I think most of the kids had their periods during the holiday time. So, coming and then say, you're not alone. So that's how I comfortably coming out. But having those moments when it stains, I've not really experienced that, but I had a friend who experienced such during her examinations, USCE. Actually, UCE is for. She stands up, her first paper of economics. She stands up and it's all stained. And it was a mixed school. So just someone coming and telling her that your gundi is stained made her feel so, like it took all her womanhood, like it made her feel so. So she had to sit. Like you're old.
Speaking of taboo, I think my experiences up to now, I think most of my friends, including Smiley, hate the fact that I talk about my periods all the time. It's the only thing. Only thing. I don't get malaria. I never get anything else other than menstrual cramps. They give me musuja, I vomit, I hate everyone in this world. But like my world literally comes to an end. And then imagine you are in a space with people who don't understand it. For example, at work, For example, at let's say ngo kuyiriba, my dear. Yeah, one time by the champitamu at a workplace, kanyamba the red jeans. Red jeans can really show like a whole mark. But imagine at a young age, I didn't tell my mom. I don't know why I was scared. She was my stepmom, and I also thought if I told her, maybe she would be bothered. No, bothered mostly. So I just kept quiet. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months.
It's a secret. You can't even tell your stepmother.
You
Or
get
your auntie. You must tell a specific person because periods were secret. Like when it happens to you, someone can do. We were told that someone can do something bad for you have experienced your first periods.
But now, see, those were the myths that stopped us from getting help. Because me, I would have really wanted someone to help me. Because imagine, I didn't even have kagoyinga and Salah just can't wow. Being bitten from my skirt to my sweater to the papers I've put down. So by the time I leave class, everyone knows I'm my peas. I'd be like, and the smell, I used to feel like I smell so bad. And right now, even now, I'm very cautious. I'd be like, is my pants? Are my pants okay? Are my pants okay? Check me. Am I fine? Yet, periods are supposed to make you feel beautiful and comfortable because they come with who you are.
You're a fruitful woman.
Yes, a very
Having
beautiful
periods,
woman. Yes.
That shows it's evident that
The
the genesis of life as a woman is happening, and we need to celebrate it.
I get very irritated and a bit horny, but I don't want anyone to be around me.
Maya, I get the horniness a week before, not a week, 2 weeks before, and then can you imagine? Oh my God, in during your periods, you're horny. Just
What do you get?
he stabs me.
I think I'd be irritated, I lose appetite, and then my boobs hurt. But I love how they feel when they're hurt.
Hannah, what do you feel?
I usually feel weak and very easily irritated. I don't want to be very much around people. I don't want to be in public. So usually on my first day, if it can actually happen, if I have the chance, I don't go out. Yeah.
Well, me, it does around on me. Oh, mama. No work for the whole day. Thank God I don't have to report to anyone. Secondly, I love perfumes. I hate anything with a scent during my periods. I don't like perfumes. I don't like anything with a strong smell. Those foods, fried foods. I get irritated first. And then, health-wise, I will have the worst diarrhea. I'll have the worst nausea. I will sweat. I will be dizzy.
I mean, I'm just here saying
the best thing to do, or the best way to support your partner or friend or sister or whatever, just be empathetic, be there. Please give them comfort food.
No, but also,
if they like sweets, buy them. If they like soda, buy it.
But the challenge is that, for example, you're speaking about this as a feminine woman, but as masculine presenting women, we don't want to say it. You don't want to tell your partner, and that during this period of time. But I realize that it's important for you to say it. Normalize it.
most violations I've gone through in my life has been because I was on a period and my boyfriend then didn't get it. The first time I beat that boy was because he kept talking and I was like, please stop talking. And then they kept pushing. I don't know where my hand went.
Speaking of menstruation, I want to channel it to, especially when you want to access SRHR services.
Yes.
Look at a trans man who wants to get a cervical cancer screening. How are you going to tell a doctor he's looking at a gentleman and then you're asking for cervical cancer screening? So how do you even start? Pap smear. How do you do it? you're scared, you can't, like, you have nowhere to start
kyokka ate nga you've not even done mastectomy ng'oyagala bakebere ne breast cancer, you know, kyokka omusawo talaba amabeere naye gwe omanyi ogayina.
So now how is it hard for you to menstrual health?
It is really hard, like
The bias.
the bias, but like Biggie has said, if like me, if just picking a pad and like keep it in a bag, and then your partner maybe, no, I could be open with my partner, but then someone else comes in, I was like, Frank, give me something, and then you're like, you pick it from my bag. They'll find a huge pack of pads, and they're like, why are you moving with pads? And funny enough, the excuse you always use, you'll be like, you never know. I'm not carrying for my partner. I'm carrying them, but you know, just in case you'll be here and then someone will be like, who has a pad? And you'll be, let me see. I have it. It is yours. So you're just using excuses to avoid maybe being violated or. Because imagine a guy, you walk in a men's restroom and you're putting it in your pocket, you're going to change, and then someone comes in and like, so it's not easy.
So the lesson learned from Mr. Loverman, please keep the society shame-free from menstruation. Let's not be ashamed.
Even these health workers, they pretend so much to know a lot about menstrual issues, but it hurts because they are the biggest harassers. That's true. Because when you walk into a health worker, I will use an example of a person. It was like a quote I read. It was Obedin Malvin saying that any good health starts with you accepting that this is a patient, and then you put behind all the biases, all your beliefs, your stereotypes. If you do that, you work on this, because if you do not do that, many of us are going out of hospitals. I will not come to you. I'll keep hiding. Someone called in and wanted, was a trans man, was pregnant, wanted a service from home, but then the health workers were like, we don't understand what you're saying. There's no man who can be pregnant, blah, 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 blah. By the time this person was taken to hospital, had to give birth to a child that was stillborn. So you see that there are so many challenges from the health sector itself.
That's why I say now, Mr. Loverman, it's up to you as a trans man in this community who's very aware to now spread the gospel. Yeah, spread the gospel of be yourself. Don't be ashamed of your period. It's fine, right? Speaking of those products, I hear banana leaves. Which products do you use?
Personally, I use pads. Mostly I've tried to use tampons, but I don't find them really accessible to the lay pharmacies. So I use pads.
We'll hook you up with tampons, don't worry.
Well, just before I deep dive into what products I use, I wanted to emphasize on this. If we need these things to be normalized, menstrual health and menstruation to be normalized, we need to give people a platform. How? Make noise. Even when you know people are going to be irritated by you talking about your periods, talk about them, rub it in their faces, you know? Yes, they are periods, so what? Hey, because I bleed, I'm able to give life. So what? What are you trying to say?
You're also a product of me not bleeding, and you're on ash.
Exactly. So the more we make noise about these things, normalize it. There was a whole debate on Twitter about people getting triggered and disgusted and what, because of people talking about, I'm cramping, I'm this, and they were bothered. But you see, you continue to be bothered. I'll talk about it because it is normal. I'm not the only one going through that. Other people, thank you very much. So if I don't talk about these things, other people will think they are aliens. They are weird, because they are suffering and all that. So the more we make noise, the more we give a platform for other people to join the what? the wagon. And the more these people hear, they hear that thing over and over again, they will say, munange. Yes, this thing is normal. If my person, my neighbor, my what is going through this, I have to understand these are the things that come with this. There are effects, they are, it's going to be nauseated, they're going to be irritated. So if anything of that sort happens, they are empathetic. They know. They won't be wondering what is triggering you. And speaking of the products, you guys, I've had bad reviews about tampons, so I like to stick to what? To my pads. Yeah, but also shout out to the pads, the brands that cater for our needs. Ngakaguluka weda. Ngano bwambu mala.
Yeah, and cotton checho.
Cotton checho.
So you won't bleed. Yes.
So for me, pads, and especially if I know my first days are heavy, I will make sure I get the extra large. Then towards the end, then you go for the ultra thin or even panty liners.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you use?
I used to still use pads, but I had an experience with tampons, and the whole fact that you have to be conscious, you're having something in there, it's really so uncomfortable for me. But then also I've heard of some societies where women have to sit in huts on sand.
Northern Uganda, they dig a hole, and then this girl doesn't have to go to school, so the whole day they are seated. They are seated on that hole. So when blood flows in there, they cover it, and then they dig another one until their periods are done.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
But we have to believe that some of us are privileged. Other people, you're there saying, these pads are uncomfortable. There's someone who has never even used a pad. And for them, periods come as a life sentence. Because the whole week they want to go to school, they want to go to work. I know a person who specifically has to go to the hospital, get admitted, get a drip of blood. You can imagine. So those experiences have to be. And talk about this, the government, you will find condoms all over the place.
I mean,
so sex is more important than like, come on, those dispensaries, at least let there be some a reservoir for those. Yes, for pads. Remember, it is not awkward when someone moves in and then like, I have an emergency. Thank goodness there is something.
I think that's one thing I noticed.
Yes, they should.
So that where we put condoms, we have pads dispenser.
Yes.
I think that's the next thing I want to think about. I want to make sure that the girls have, because there are times you walk into a place like, for example, some of us who don't feel periodic pains, you might walk humbly from home, healthy. Okay. When you reach before your match, the peas come. So you need an emergency of something. You need to pad yourself. Yes, you can put on a pad in your boxer or in your panty, but then if it's not available, that's a challenge.
I also believe, Biggie, to supplement on what you've said, as women and men who go through menstruation, let's be each other's keepers. When you're going into for a gathering or what, even if you're not bleeding, carry a pad. You never know who might need it.
It's shameful. It's not. We are trying. We are normalizing having a pad with you. But there are people, I've seen one of my birthdays who ran out of a toilet, having found pads not used. A box of pads there. Yayingira toy yaduka. Oh my god naduka. Nebabuuza what is happening. Kubanga waliwo pack here always in the toilet. Like they are scared of pads. So one time I was driving, I had pads in the back in a dashboard cell, storage there. My own brother who follows me. So pads said, Namugamba Arnold, come on. Your wife menstruates. You have a daughter. You said the daughter looks like me. You have a daughter. So pads is normalizing. Who buys pads for your wife? Like they are scared of pads. They are not used. They are just pads. Chive. So we need to normalize. I told my brother, Your wife shouldn't be buying pads for themselves. Just go to the supermarket as you plan for your month, and every month as you buy things, gula pads zimusulirawo. Tomugamba, tomubuuza, tomunyonyola, just put pads part of your shopping list. Put the pads there. There's something you can show your daughter. Nti mama wachimanye nti no bawanga agula pads. He saw the pads and he was very scared. He said, "Mugamba, why you scared? They are not used. They are pads."
But we need to, yes. Oh my God, the key lesson from Biggie is that let us normalize conversations, and also let's provide a free shame period to the world. Let's avail platforms to get sanitary pads, or even just talk about it, because when you provide good menstrual health, you're creating self-esteem for the girl child. You're keeping the girl child in school to grow up into a woman she's meant to be.
People who want to systematically count their days when they get their first the periods and when they are done, so that they are in the know. Especially for us who don't get periodical pains and just have mood swings. You don't know until the P's just come and you realize, oh my God, kumbe, that's why I've been in this kind of state. There are apps where you register your fast. Is Flow what? Flow. No, I know one that is Flow what?
Yeah, there's Flow, My Calendar, Period Tracker.
Period trackers. So you enter the first day you've entered your periods and the last day. So it will give you a time. It will even tell you that you're in your ovulation period. So these are very dangerous times. If you happen to have just love sex, you can easily get pregnant or things like that. So you're in the know.
How to count days without, if you do not have a phone, you can get a piece of paper and a pen, and then you write down a month, the month. Let's say this is December, and you write all the days. Then let's say you started on first. That is the very first day you count that's my first day. That one. Because remember, everyone has different days. There are those who spend a week, there are those who spend 2 weeks, there are those who spend 4 days, 2 days, 5 days, depending on your fertility rate. So if you started on first, you count, let's say you go into maybe 1 week, let's say 5 days. So the 5 days, how do they count the 5 days? Is that you could go in your periods for 3 days. The 4th day you might jump it, and then you end up on the 5th day. Or you could go for the first 4 days, and then the 5th day you not jump. You just find drops on your panty, just a little. But then after that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count 3 days
after.
Then to make it 6, 7, 8. Then count 21 days from those days you've counted. 7 days I've counted the 3 days, the first 3 days. Then you count 21 days. And then from the last day of the 21 days, if you add it on back to the other first days you had, the day you had your periods and the day 3 days, you might get 28 days or 29.
27, 28, 29.
So the last day, that 21st day, just know that immediately the next day you're going to get your periods. It's coming. Or it might jump and then
that's
you get
the analog way.
Yeah, that's the analog way.
I know for some of us who just wait for the Holy Ghost to bring their periods.
What I realized is that people look at days. Because in December you might go in on first, and you find that when you count your other days, in January you're going to find you're going in maybe on second. Or
some have
Yeah.
beginning. This
Yeah.
month I had at the beginning. Then the next month I'm having maybe
the calendar,
At the end.
the calendar keeps on flowing. If you could have started on first, and then you find that the other month you're going to go
So if
on
you
31st.
register every
They
day,
will go counting themselves back until when you get back to the very first day you start.
so if you don't have a smartphone, you can be ticking off. Even when you're
Yes.
using your calendar, you tick
Yes.
off. This is my first day. I've gone. I am still in periods and all this and all that.
that also applies, I think, to persons that use
Apps.
the moon beads. I think it's more of the same with using counting days.
Yeah. Also, to supplement on that, we need to also understand and appreciate that people have different cycle lengths. Now, me personally, my cycle is 21 days. You get?
But it changes.
Mine is strictly 21. 21, if it has overextended, 24. But I will give a testimony that this app has helped me in so many ways. It helps you in planning. If you want to take a trip, you look at the days where you're not bleeding, because you don't want to be on vacation. Instead of enjoying the pool and water, you're going to be bleeding. So me, before I plan any trip, I look at my calendar. I'm like, in Jan, which days am I going to be kawa? You know? Look at them. I'm like, this week I'm going to be super. I'm like, yes. Now I'm going to plan my what? My trip within those days. Me personally, the way I use this app, from my own experience, the last day of your period, those first 3 days they are safe, like he said. But if you count exactly 7 days after, those days are trouble. Those days are trouble. That whole week, there is a high chance of you getting what? Pregnant. But what I know is the most chances are before ovulation and during ovulation. And then there's a high chance also 24 hours after ovulation. After the 24-hour window, then you are safe to cruise throughout. So if you have this app, simple. As long as you log your first day and your last day, and you keep doing that, the app will synchronize that information and keep doing it automatically for you. You understand? So you will know, 3 days after my 3 days after my period, I am safe. But those days, I will count a week. Yes, but also I wanted to talk about this. It's very, very important for our sisters out there who use emergency pills. Those emergency pills alter those days. They can alter your cycle, because the way the emergency pill works, it will either delay ovulation or bring it closer. You understand? So if you take that emergency pill, let's say 2 days before your ovulation, it might delay it a little bit longer. You understand it? But if you take it during ovulation, you're gone. You understand? It will not do anything. You understand it? Yeah, but use these apps. It's a digital world. You know, you make use of this technology. Technology shouldn't be only about TikTok. TikTok is nice, but you need these apps to be assisting you in your daily life. So there's some of the apps. There is Flow, there is Period Tracker, and then there's also My Calendar. There are also others. People develop those apps every now and then. So check them out, and just get your days right. The first days, the first periods you have, and then the rest of the time you'll be cruising. And the beauty with these apps, they will send pop-up messages. Your period is in 2 days. You understand? Your period is in 2 days. Mine even tells me it's time to take water, so you keep hydrated. You understand? So if you want it in an incognito mode where it doesn't make noise for you, you can do that. If you want it to remind you and even set an alarm, you can still do that.
Different things that people take water eases the pain. Exercises help in easing the menstrual pains. You can do squats, you can do sit-ups, hot water bottles, and hot water bottles, but also hot water. Or you can take hot water with tea leaves to fasten. Or it's usually, I got to know that the thicker the periods, the more painful they are. So when you take warm water or water that it's called what? It thins the blood. It makes the blood easily flow out, so that helps you not to get periodic pains. If you have an app and you know your days, or if you you register down your days, you can easily start taking hot water during that period of time, so that they can make the blood thinner, so that you don't get that hassle in releasing that blood. And it's healthy. It's very, very, very healthy. I repeat, it's healthy to release, to get menstruation every month.
It's a woman thing.
My people, there is no reward in suffering. I know they tell us you don't want to be dependent on painkillers, but please, if the pain is excruciating, take those painkillers. No one is going to reward you for suffering and going through that pain, you know? Painkillers, there is Gofen, Ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is a good thinner if you want your blood to, and easily go out. Me personally, I use Ibuprofen. I use, if I'm out of my Gofen, I use that.
Mefenamic, then Ibuprofen, then Paroxicam also works, and then Panadol.
I would like everyone out there to understand that there are changes that come with menstrual periods, and people are affected in different ways when they experience them. So I call upon everyone to be kinder and more empathetic.
Yes.
Understand that people are going through things, and it's natural. We should just be helpful and non-judgmental about it. And then everyone will thrive, Everyone will live very happy.
Trans men. But I please, I beg that please, the heteronormative community, try so hard to broaden your these discussions on mental health beyond soul, gender, like basing it on one specific gender or two. Just know that there are also men who bleed.
Yes.
Help them, please, and also put dispensers for with pads in male restrooms.
Wash your boxers and underwear you put inside the boxers.
As for us, basically presenting lesbians and trans men, let's keep clean during menstruation. We know there's a lot that we do to cover everything, to cover for people not to see that we are menstruating, but let's try and make sure we wash our boxers. It's not bad for a trans man to own a panty. If you're experiencing menstruation, you own that panty, use it for a period of time, keep clean, and please support your partner even during that period of time, and don't force your partners to wash your bloody knickers or boxers. Please wash your boxers. Let's look out for each other. Be clean, and that's how we will have a healthy life.
And hydrate, please.
Yes.
Yes, all the presenters have said it. Keeping clean, by the way, during our period is very important to avoid those, risks that come along with our vaginas. But also as an organization, when it comes to menstrual health and management information, like now this platform, we do provide information on menstrual health and hygiene, but also give menstrual packages, consumables, those are pads.
I love that we are all comfortable in sharing our experiences. We hope that 1 or 2 or 5 people is going to be able to learn something from us. And also we are saying create a space where women can just talk about these things, We've been back here together.
She said what she said. Don't forget.
When we say what she said, do not forget to
follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
What's our Twitter?
On Twitter and Instagram at @far_Uganda, and then on Facebook that's Farouk, that is Freedom and Rome Uganda, and on TikTok and on Bakuya Toge, that's on YouTube channel.
Please subscribe.
We need more subscribers. Comment, share, like. So we want more money, more funding. Give us money and we give people pads, please. Mtuwa kusende. Tuwa abantu pads. As bakubi atuogere, we have said what we have said.
She said what she said.
Bye.
Bye.
I've got a question.